following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
You're listening to The Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for The Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
Whoa! I can't even believe that it is the end of June already. Like, how did that happen? Why is time keep going faster and faster and faster? But it is Positively Pipeman segment right here on the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio. And since it's June, we're going to talk in the beginning of the show with the pet health guru about hurricane awareness for your pets. And then after that, we're going to run a couple commercials for some festivals we're giving away tickets for on the Adventures of Pipeman here that you're going to want to stay tuned, and you could possibly win tickets to one of these two festivals. I'm not saying which one they are yet. And then after that, we're going to talk some powerful business strategies with Michael Barbarita and building your 2027 strategic plan in the third quarter. So, a hurricane is coming. It's Pet Health Guru. So let's have him hurricane on into the show. Uh-oh. What's happening, Juan?
I don't know. Streamer is doing weird things today. I have us all on.
It had it on the wrong thing. I just changed it myself. It had it on the wrong thing. So, sorry, people, but, you know, even the engineers make mistakes, too.
I clicked on it. It didn't do anything.
Happened. How you doing, Dean?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. You know, it's been a kind of a hurricane around here anyway with our move and everything that we went through.
Oh, yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah, the store's pretty much set up in its new format and everything, so it looks really, really good. And we're ready for hurricane season.
Nice. Are we ready for earthquake season, though? Because apparently that has come, too. We don't normally think of earthquake season in Florida, but there was an earthquake in Cuba that rocked all the way from Miami up to Tampa. Then there was the one in Venezuela, and then there was one in the Philippines. All major earthquakes. You know, California is looking pretty good right about now. They had none. For all the people in Florida that say, I'd never live in California because they have earthquakes. And I'm somebody, I've lived through every disaster there is, and I will take an earthquake over a tornado or hurricane any day of the week. I'll tell you what.
Yep. It's, you know, it's interesting that, you know, the world is always, you know, in a battle with itself.
Yeah. You know what we should talk about? Okay, I'm putting this out there. You can tell Patty. I think what we should talk about next week, because this just came into my head, is 4th of July and your pet. And we can discuss that because I see a lot of chatter about that. There's a lot of people on Nextdoor that are saying they should eliminate fireworks from 4th of July. Hate to tell you, fireworks have been part of 4th of July since the beginning of 4th of July back in 1777. Okay? And I get it with the pets, and we'll talk about it more next week. But I also think, like, I don't know, Floridians, they're kind of self-centered. They always want all the rules to just apply to their life. Because they say nobody likes the fireworks. I beg to differ. If you go to Flagler on 4th, which I will be at, there's plenty of thousands of people that do like them. But Tope, let's talk about that next week. Now let's talk about something worse, and that's a hurricane. How does your pet react during a hurricane? Let's start there.
Well, as you know, many people are aware, our animals have a much higher sense of or degree of sensing when these things are going to happen and react accordingly. During a hurricane, especially here in Florida, sometimes they'll just let like the horses out of the barn, and they know exactly where to go instinctively, where they won't be injured, and staying out of the way. But for our dogs and cats, it's another challenge too, because first off, they're going to be emotionally charged, anxiety-ridden. Of course.
Anybody listen to the show, please silence your phone so it does not interrupt the show.
I know. Anyway, sorry about that, but I haven't gotten a phone call all day long, and of course it had to be now. But basically, because of the anxiety and the stress levels that we are going through and we are conveying onto our pets, we have to be very mindful of that energy as well. We have to have certain supplies, of course, on hand. Good, clean water, obviously. Their foods. We feed a lot of raw food, so of course we have to worry about electricity going out and being able to store that. And of course you need to have identification on the animal, have a collar or a harness that has an identification on it where they can, if they do get loose, make sure you got a good leash, a restraint method, because if they go into panic mode, they're gone. And so we kind of look at a lot of different things there. On the food side, of course, I'd never recommend any kind of kibble. There are some freeze-dried foods or some air-dried foods that are all meat that you can, easily transport, that sort of thing. I mean, we use the BioComplete treats because it is a whole food item. So, for that couple days, that week that you might be without a raw diet, that's fine. Actually, if people ask me all the time about that, it's like, okay, well, if the power goes out, leave your freezer door tight for you can go a couple days before everything starts to defrost. When it does start to defrost and you take it out, feed as much as you can. Let them do a big, major gorging meal, and they'll be good for 3-4 days after that, because they can go 4 or 5 days without eating if they have to. But most pet parents don't want to see that happen.
No, I did that with my kids. We had the freezer full. We had a fireplace, one of the few fireplaces in Florida, and I was just cooking it up like, let's have a big Thanksgiving feast, thanking the hurricane.
Yeah, and of course, some of that too. I mean, if we do need to cook, lightly cook it, because it does extend the shelf life of it. Our grills work excellent on their diet as well. So, we have alternate methods that way. Of course, you can always have an extra ice chest or something, or a portable, which would be good to have. So on top of that, it's just, being able to keep your animal constrained. Crates are excellent for that, especially if you have to travel, you have to evacuate, that sort of thing. You should have a crate available, not only to transport, but if you're stuck in a hotel room or something like that too, you don't want them escaping out the door when you open the door. And here you are, 30 miles, 40 miles from home, and no identifiers on your pet, and that's not good. So, those are the basic things there. If they are on medication, obviously take all the medication just like you would with yourself. And it's just don't panic. Keep it, keep your energy levels sound and composed, and your dogs and cats won't react, adversely in that effect.
Nice. It's the same for humans, Yeah. I don't really freak out when there's a hurricane, because what does it accomplish? And if you freak out, your dogs and cats can sense that, and they freak out too.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said you have to watch your own energy.
Yeah.
So, it's just use common sense. That's basically what it's about. Don't panic. So quite often people will panic, like when they're, we got to get out of here. We got to evacuate. And they just open up the door. Or they just open up the door to see what the hurricane's doing. And the dog is out, And that's either.
Well, and if you do have to chase your animal and try to get them, that's dangerous for both of you.
No. Oh, and they don't know whether you're playing or whether it's a serious. They don't conceptualize what you do. They're not thinking, oh my God, this is a horrible storm. They just know that there's a lot going on, and I need to find a quiet place. And if you're grow up in the closet, they're smarter than we are, so just let them do it.
Yeah, they have instinct, then they follow their instinct. I think that's the difference with humans. We have instinct too, and a lot of times we ignore it.
Yes, exactly. It's also not a bad idea that, with your dogs, obviously, to wee pad train when they're early, and if you can't get out in the middle of the storm, at least they have someplace to go potty. This is things, again, common sense.
So, Juan, well, Bill, your internet has been really bad the past couple minutes, but I wanted to know what you would recommend to Juan for his goldfish or his guppy.
Guppies.
Guppies.
Now he has guppies.
If they're in a fish tank, okay, just leave them there. If they are, if you can move it to the floor, that's even better, so that the stand doesn't get knocked over or something breaks or the wind comes through or whatever. Other than that, they're fine. They're already wet. The rain's not going to bother them.
I always have wondered how fish, like in the ocean or intercoastal or whatever, what they think of the rain when it happens, because of what you just said. You're already wet. So, I know if I'm out there in the ocean, besides lightning, the rain has no implication on me while I'm in there. Now, if I was sitting on the beach, another story. But while I'm in there, it's not a big deal. It's only a big deal if, there's lightning or a hurricane. I wouldn't suggest humans being out in the ocean for sure. And no paddle boarders either. There was several years ago, not that long, but several, a 64-year-old dude that we were evacuated from Singer Island that went out paddleboarding. People, don't bring your animals either. Don't go paddleboarding during a hurricane. It's not really a good idea. Just saying.
No, it's not.
And
of course, along with the hurricane, it's not just the wind and the rain. You do sometimes get a lot of thunder and lightning as well.
Exactly. And tornadoes.
Yes.
And flying debris and then, if you're in the ocean, the water gets really bad. That's when people like me are like, oh, cool, a hurricane's coming, because that means there's good surfing before and after, but not during. But people do bring their pets out on their paddle boards and on their kayaks. So maybe don't do that too. It seems weird, Bill, that we would have to say that, but obviously we do, because people do dumb stuff sometimes. They don't think about it,
Mm-hmm.
Just like the people that sit out during a hurricane in their truck to experience it.
Yeah. And of course, we talked a little bit about this before the show, but for the 4th of July, it's the same thing. Make sure you've got your animals constrained and, that sort of thing, the anxiety. The fireworks themselves will cause a great deal of anxiety. So you want to make sure you have control of your animals. We do have different products on the market, of course, treats and that sort of thing that may contain things like CBD,
right?
And stress, anxiety, herbs, and that sort of thing, which, if you use them properly, can help alleviate a lot of that problem with your animals as well.
How about, are there like earplugs? Because I know it's the fireworks that really get to them, but, lightning really gets to them too. We can't cancel lightning.
No.
So if there's lightning in a hurricane that freaks out your animal, just like fireworks would, is there some kind of earplug or something that there is a coping mechanism so that it is not harmful to their ears?
Not really. There's nothing that's functional because, of course, when you look at dogs, especially, there's all different shapes and sizes of ears, and that makes it very difficult for anything to be constructed. One of the things, of course, during this is if you do have electricity, put on some calming music, some calming tones, get that energy flowing in the right direction.
Well, I was thinking that too. Okay, so what about when fireworks are going off or lightning is happening? What if you're just have your TV or your music on that overpowers that because your pets are used to that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can turn most of the time you can turn your stereo up as loud as you want, and they don't move. So it's not just noise.
You would think that after 250 years they would be used to it by now.
But it's only once a year or twice a year, so that's why they're not used to it. But they're not. Sometimes they're not used to it with lightning either. But that's my point. These people that are on Nextdoor that are saying we should cancel fireworks, you can't cancel lightning, and that happens a lot more often than fireworks. And I was thinking to myself, tell me what you think. If you were that worried about your pet with the fireworks, why not get a pair of headphones that you would give a child, an infant that goes to a concert, put it over their ears, and they're not going to keep it on, but you hold it on and soothe them and pet them until it's over.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible too. It's a lot more work. And that's one of the things, we find, unfortunately, too often is that pet parents aren't always committed to doing the right things at the right time.
And I think they should be. Yeah. I think it's a big undertaking to have a pet. And I think it should definitely be something that, that you are willing to go the extra mile and not make everybody else do. That is something I have noticed about a lot of pet owners, at least the ones down here, is they always expect everybody else to go above and beyond for their pet. And that's like expecting everybody else to go above and beyond for your kid. You want to calm your kid? Well, I'm the one responsible for how my kid acts in a restaurant, not how the restaurant determines whether you should have kids or not, type of thing. So I kind of think of it the same way. I mean, like, especially these people that are saying end fireworks. So you want to ruin the fun for millions of people because you're not willing to take that extra step for something that you decided to have a responsibility for. I've had pets all my life. They're a huge responsibility, okay? And if you're not prepared for it, just like me, okay, you remember April. I haven't gotten another dog since April for two reasons. One is she was the easiest, greatest dog, so like how you top that. Number two is that I knew my lifestyle and the way I wanted to live would not be fair to me or a dog in that environment. So I opted out of having a dog. I love dogs. I wish I could have one, but I'm only going to have one if I'm willing to take all the responsibility and have all the dedication for that animal.
Yes.
Especially when you're traveling.
We talk about that in all of our shows, even when it comes to food and healthcare and all of that sort of thing. It's like, they push a lot of this stuff off on, I have to talk to my veterinarian, who doesn't necessarily know what's best for your animal and doesn't know what's best for your lifestyle. We've had a couple of trainers on the Pet Health Cafe recently that we talk about the different breed types and that sort of thing. If you want to, if you live in a one-bedroom apartment and you're 90 years old, you don't want a Belgian Malinois,
right,
bouncing off the walls. So, we have to take all that into consideration. It's not just about the look of it or that sort of thing. The training's got to be there. If your dog is well trained during a hurricane, you're not going to be nearly as upset and anxiety ridden, because your dog's going to follow command and be on its leash or in its crate, whatever it happens to be, without going nuts.
I can't believe you brought up training, because I was thinking about that before you even said it while you were talking about how many people get pets and then they don't train the pet, and then they get rid of the pet as the pet gets to be an adult because they can't handle all the things the pet's doing. It's your fault. It was your responsibility, just like it's your responsibility to parent your baby. Babies don't come into the world knowing how to do everything or how to act or what have you. And puppies, not the same thing. It is a peeve of mine, people that get pets and then get rid of them and then get another one. That's even worse. The people that get pets over and over again because the pets turn into adults. Oh, that just rubs a nerve.
Yep, I understand and I agree. Some of those cute little fluffy puppies can turn into a hurricane, actually.
Yeah. And even more of a hurricane if you're not dedicated to that animal and doing what needs to be done to groom them to be an responsible adult pet. We'll call it that, Yeah. So, and you're right. I love that you put the hurricane part in there, because you're right. It would be so much easier if you always did stuff right with your pet, that they would be able to deal with the hurricane much better because you've trained them.
Absolutely. And of course the proper feeding and health that goes along with that. Again, people don't want to make the commitment, and then of course a lot of those animals that dumped in shelters are because the vet bills are too expensive.
Yeah. That's a shame.
Don't plan for it.
Yeah, you got to think of all different things. And I do give credit to some people that never have a pet, that know that it's just not for them. It was funny. I saw one of those postings on Nextdoor. As somebody said, I'm trying to remember what they said. And they were like, well, what if, and it was more of like something like, what if you don't have or want a dog? Then why should I have to not do something because you have and want a dog?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think people make a conscious choice because they don't want to make that sacrifice, just like I've done now.
Yeah.
It's like either have a dog or travel the way I do or whatever. Listen, that's one thing I have to give kudos to my brother about. And so he has a dog and he wants to travel, but his dog is an Australian Labradoodle. And so the only way that dog can get on a plane is in the cargo area, and he refuses to put the dog in the cargo area because he doesn't want to put the dog in that kind of circumstance. He would rather the dog, be with him or what have you. And listen, some people would make fun of somebody like that. I give him kudos because he is being a responsible pet owner by putting his pet first and his needs second in that respect.
Well, not only that, they have to put them to sleep during the flight.
Yeah.
They're not awake.
Yeah, they have to be sedated in many cases.
Yeah, exactly. So, he chooses not to fly. Because
it can be very stressful for the dog too.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's interesting too, since we're on that note, because I just got off a flight recently where they eliminated any nut thing from their menu that you could order, and you couldn't eat anything nuts because somebody on the plane had a nut allergy.
Well, that's nuts.
I know, right? But here's what's nuts. Is if you have a cat or dog allergy, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's weird to me. That peanuts have more value than animals.
Well, animals can make you sneeze, but peanuts can make you stop breathing, so I guess.
Well, but for some people, though, if they're severely allergic to dogs or cats in that confined environment, they could die because they could have asthma attacks and be asphyxiated just the same. So there you go.
You know, like if you have a nut allergy, just don't have the nuts.
Well, apparently, if you have a nut allergy, if somebody else eats nuts, you die. I don't.
What is that, like bad luck for you, or?
With all these allergies, of course,
I mean,
all go back to toxicity anyway. So, if we eat clean and healthy, you won't have an allergy, so it won't be an issue.
Exactly.
I have heard of secondhand smoke. I have never heard of secondhand peanut allergy.
See, now you just gave me a visual in my head of a dog and cat sitting on the plane smoking.
That should be a portrait.
And on that note, and then we're going to go to some ticket giveaways, but on that note, I want to say one thing before the pet health guru tells us all how we can reach out to him and get some more great advice. But first, I want to say that do you know who Kelsey Grammer is, Juan?
No.
Oh my God, he doesn't know anything, does he, Bill?
No.
Okay, so there was a show called Cheers, and then a show called Frasier, and he was a star in both of those. He's a very huge, like, not like Jimmy Star huge, but really huge actor. and basically he was on a plane one time, and I was on a plane and I was smoking because you could smoke on the plane, and I didn't know who he was, but he bummed a cigarette off me, and he even asked, do I know who he? No. Hello, my name's Kelsey. No clue. Then after getting off the plane, I was watching episodes of Cheers, and I was like, oh shit. He bummed a cigarette off of me. That's my fanboy moment. I think a lot of my fanboy moments came from smoking, because there was a time that Corey Taylor was talking to me after I interviewed his drummer in his band Stone Sour. I was just sitting on the curb smoking a cigarette. He came over and started talking to me about the weather. So now that I don't smoke anymore, I don't get those moments anymore. See, now I'm all bummed out about that. Meanwhile, I do know where I want to go, and where I did go for April, and where I would go if I had an animal now. Where would that be, Bill?
That would have to be the My Paleo Pet retail store in Pompano Beach, Florida, where we've got all the food items and good diets and good healthy herbal products, everything for both you and your pet. One of the claims that we can honestly make is everything in this store can be used for people and pets. And we don't skimp on the quality because they're pets, unlike a lot of the big commercial companies out there. Also, we do consultations for animal health and for people health. If you want to lead a more natural life, we have a farm to table program now where you can get good quality raised in Florida meats and poultry and fish. And of course, then there's also the Pet Health Cafe, which is our podcast. Live every Thursday night on the whole group of stations. Something happened with YouTube though this week. I don't know what. So we're missing an episode from last week, but I guess they don't like it when I talk about some of the stuff I talk about, or some of our guests do. But all that stuff is available on YouTube 24/7. To hear more and educate yourself. That's what the whole program is about. And we would love for you to come down and see the store.
It is amazing. First time I stepped into your store like 20 years ago, I was like, holy shit, this is like going to an old school, like human butcher in New York, and that's why I used to call it a deli, because it was like going into the New York deli, and it was kind of cool. It was like, I was looking, I'm like, man, I want to eat this stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's why we added the farm to table, because we were already doing the good stuff. And, as a pet parent, if you're not healthy, you can't help your animal. So we want to make it available. And, I was always getting the comments, my dog eats better than I do. And I said, well, we get a program for that.
Nice. And there's a responsible pet owner feeding their dog or pet and cat better than they feed themselves. Well, you are always a wealth of knowledge, pet health guru. And hopefully we won't have a hurricane this weekend. But if we do, people might be prepared now.
Yes, let's hope so. And be prepared for the July as well.
And give me a call after the show, and let's see about the YouTube thing.
Yes, will do.
All right, Juan, we're going to run. Always. And Juan, run a couple commercials there. We're going to do some ticket giveaways. All you have to do is, if you want to win tickets to these upcoming commercials, which would be, which ones do we have, Juan?
Incarceration Louder Than Life, Aftershock.
Do we have a Rocklahoma one in there?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to play the Rocklahoma one, and we're going to play the Aftershock one. Those are the ticket giveaways for this week. Okay, so check me out at Pipeman Radio on all socials. DM me if you want to win tickets. By the way, I'm super excited about Rocklahoma. You do want to enter to win this one because Slayer is headlining. It's going to be awesome. It's one of my favorite festivals to do. Come join the Pipeman at Rocklahoma. Let's check it out.
It's here, Rocklahoma, celebrating its 20th anniversary, and for the first time ever, Slayer, and the return of Godsmack, and Papa Roach. Rocklahoma is back Labor Day weekend, September 4th through 6th, with Slayer, celebrating the 40th anniversary of Rain and Blood, Godsmack, Papa Roach, also Stone Temple Pilots, The Pretty Reckless, Black Label Society, Jet, Wolfmother, Hollywood Undead, Dropkick Murphys, and Cypress Hill. Rocklahoma 2026, 20 years. Slayer, Godsmack, Papa Roach, Stone Temple Pilots, Cypress Hill, and so many more. Labor Day weekend, September 4th through 6th in Pryor, Oklahoma. Go to www.rocklahoma.com for all ticket and festival information. Don't miss Labor Day weekend's #1 rock and roll party, Rocklahoma.
Aftershock, the West Coast's largest rock, metal, and punk festival, returns to Sacramento this October with My Chemical Romance, Tool, Limp Bizkit, Pierce the Veil, plus Suicide Boys, Queens of the Stone Age, The Offspring, A Day to Remember, Wu-Tang Clan, and more. Aftershock, October 1st through 4th. Passes are on sale now, starting at only $1 down at AftershockFestival.com.
You're listening to The Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Once again, this is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and we're on our powerful business strategy mission today with Michael Barbarita, Next Step CFO, and we're on mission for our 2027 strategic plan. So let's talk about it, Michael.
Thank you, Dean. What happens is a lot of business owners start planning for the following year, if at all, by the way, in November and December. And what
is that like the New Year's resolution?
Yeah,
rather than a plan?
Yeah, it's similar to that. And that's what it ends up being, essentially, because 2027 ends up being the same year as 2026. So starting a strategic plan and you're planning for 27 in Q3 allows you the time to be able to make better decisions and to be able to understand the plan or get help with the plan. So because I see what happens a lot is there's a lot of planning that goes on in November and December. For those who do it, by the way, there's some people who never plan, so that's going to just probably stay on forever. But those who do plan should consider starting in Q3 because they'll have more time to strategize. They'll have more time to really understand what's happened in the first half of 26 to be able to really negotiate their game plan. And what ends up happening is the quality of the plan ends up much better, and the probability of implementation increases with the longer time frame for planning. And so, even if you just start once a week and put an hour aside once a week for the 2027 plan, you'll be that much more ahead of the game come whenever you normally do it. For instance, whenever you normally do it. So it's just really a great way. Start early, because a lot of business owners, for those who do it at all, they just cram it in. They cram it in, and it's just not it just doesn't work well. And what ends up happening is the year ends up being the same as it's always been.
So, what other advice do you have to give people so that they could be fully prepared for 2027?
Well, there's a couple of things I want to talk about in addition to the planning component, and that is what I find is best known beats best product every time. So if you look at McDonald's, they don't have the best burger. Domino's doesn't have the best pizza. Dr. Phil isn't even the best psychologist in the world. He's not even close. I have asked multiple psychologists about Dr. Phil's skill in psychology, it's really low. It's really low. But
I'm not a fan, so I'm with you.
Okay. He's the highest paid psychologist in the world.
Yeah.
And he is because he's best known.
And there's only one reason for that. You know the reason, right?
That's right. Yeah.
He was personally groomed by Oprah to be who he is.
Right.
But I can say that he probably isn't ranked as one of the top psychologists in the world.
He's definitely not. By the way, surveys have already been done. He's not even in the top 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, surveys among peers have been done. He's not in the top 1,000.
That's wild.
Right. But he's the highest paid because he's the best known. And you have to be known. It's not really how the quality of your product. Domino's Pizza. A lot of people don't. If you had to rank pizzas, Domino's would probably not even close to the top 3. Yet they're very wide, they're tremendously successful. But they're one of the reasons why they are successful is they're best known, and they have compelling offers, like the one that they did for the college kids, where 30 minutes we'll deliver it or it's free. Those types of compelling offers also obviously help them to become best known. So anyway, best known will beat best product every time. So that's number one I want us to share. The second thing I wanted to share is something that business owners never think about. Never. A lot of business owners, when they started their business, they filled out credit applications with suppliers. Many of those credit applications included personal guarantees.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that business owners who have been in business 5 years or more need to go back to those suppliers and get them to waive the personal guarantee in writing. That the personal guarantee signed 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago is now waived. Why? Well, the reason for the personal guarantee is, you would consider, just starting out, you're considered a poor credit risk.
Yeah.
But having paid for 5 years on time or more, 10, 15, 20, 25, it's time now to waive the reason why you had a personal guarantee. And let me tell you why you have to do it. If for some reason you sell the company, you're going to be sued. If the new company is not, even though it's a different company, different name, you're going to get at least sued, if not pursued legally, for guaranteeing the debt. Granted, it was guaranteeing the debt of an old company, but you're still going to be pursued. You don't need it. You don't need it. You've got to go back to your suppliers, and if you forgot whether or not you filled out an application, or you forgot whether or not the application included a personal guarantee, because some don't, you still have to ask the supplier if they can come up with that application because you want to review it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not in trouble. No trouble. That's just a question to the supplier. And if there's a personal guarantee, you need it waived. Period. End of report. Because you've proven that you pay your bills on time, and there's no need for them to have a personal guarantee on you anymore.
Yeah, I could tell you that my uncle was a very prominent attorney, and the first business I ever started, he said to me, "Don't ever sign a personal guarantee." Now, in today's day and age, I think a lot of times they require everybody to in the beginning, Well,
banks do for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But before it used to be, you could just say no, and you might still get the loan. But I was always told never to do that for a lot of reasons that you're talking about.
Right. And business owners, I had a client who was in business 25 years, 30 years, and he signed, I had him go back to all his supply because he wanted to sell his company. I had him go back to all his suppliers to get the personal guarantees waived. And so he did that. And there were out of the 10 suppliers that he thought he had prepared applications for at the very beginning, 7 of them he actually did prepare applications, and 5 of them had personal guarantees that he got waived. And so he's now with the new buyer, he's eliminating any hassle for his wife or his heirs or himself, eliminating any hassle.
Yeah.
Because he no longer has personal guarantees with suppliers. Because whoever buys the company, if they do a Mickey Mouse job or if they're not good operators and they tank the company, he can get exposed. I've seen it. It sounds impossible, but it isn't.
No, it's not. And my uncle said to me, one of the problems with it is the whole reason you have a corporation is to not have personal liability. So what's the point if you're going to sign a personal guarantee of having the corporation if you're going to be personally liable anyway?
That's right. Yeah.
So how do people reach out for more information from you in this area or any other powerful business strategy area?
Yes. Well, they go to nextstepcfo.net. They can, on the upper right-hand corner, there's a diagnostic they could take. Takes less than 5 minutes. It identifies 3 strategies that your competition isn't doing, along with the financial impact of each. An explanation of the strategy as well and how to go about implementing it. They can also download a copy of my book called Powerful Business Strategies. It's on the website. It's on the left-hand side, upper corner, in an orange button as well. And they can download that book for free. Nice. And also, if they'd like to do a book interview, because we're always updating the book and we'd like to get industry insight, it's 30 minutes on Zoom. I present strategies for my book, and then I ask one question at the end of each strategy. If a business owner in your industry would implement the strategy, what kind of impact would it have? I document it for the book, and that's it.
Nice.
And they go to nextstepcfo.net/contact, fill out the contact form, and in the description, put book interview.
Any final words you want to leave our listeners with, Michael?
Don't keep doing what your competition is doing.
Oh, there it is. No wiser words right there. Thank you, everybody. Make sure to check out Next Step CFO. Talk to Michael Barbarita. He can help your business in amazing ways. And thank you for once again listening to the Adventures of Pipeman Powerful Business Strategy segment right here on W4CY Radio.
Thank you, James.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.